Hi everybody, here come the sirens, hang on. It's too hot to turn off the air conditioning, which isn't really working in the first place. It's like 82 in here right now, Fahrenheit. That's okay. I hope you're all doing well. I read a bunch of books in August, and I thought I'd talk about them. First was The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. This is a follow-up to the Swordcatcher series. I think a third book is supposed to come out at an undetermined time, and I'm really hoping so, because the last 100 pages of this book were crazy. It's a bit of a conspiracy plot, I would say. It takes place in a kingdom. There are princes, there are princesses, not really. Well, a few. There are nobility. There's an elephant in this one. Our main character is Cal, and he is the sword catcher. If a sword is thrown at the prince, he catches it with his body. Yaddy. Next, I listened to the audiobook for Wooing the Witch Queen by Stephanie Burgess. This one was really cute. I personally try to consume as much romantasy of the cozy autumnal variety as I can. Definitely not ACOTAR, okay? That's not what we're about over here. Sarah J. Maas, man. This one is a bit of like a secret enemies to lovers. She doesn't know that he is her arch rival because he is on the run and in disguise, and they fall in love. The women characters in this were really entertaining, and there's quite a spectrum of personalities, which I enjoyed. The Witch Queen is very dominant. The next book I've been reading for a long time on and off, partially because I was moving around and kept changing library districts. Finally finished Chain Gang Allstars. Chain Gang Allstars is like if the Hunger Games was hyper US specific. And the Hunger Games is US specific. So what I mean by that is that Chain Gang Allstars is hypercritical of systems and infrastructures of oppression that exist uniquely within the United States, specifically the incarceration system and how it disproportionately affects people of color. We primarily follow two fighters, Loretta Thurwar and Hurricane Stax, and they're in love. Chain Gang Allstars is effectively a hard sporting game where you are able to earn your freedom from jail early by killing other people for sport. I thought the technology that was invented for the story was really interesting. Critiques were on point. Characterizations were amazing. I got emotional at the end. Definitely understand why this one is a favorite, and yeah, I recommend it. After Chain Gang Allstars, I needed like a lovely little break. I was also on a road trip, 10.5 hours alone through the desert. So I listened to A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. This was my first book by T. Kingfisher. They were recommended at an author event that I went to with Sangu Mandana and Sarah Beth Durst, whose books I have not read, but both of them seemed to like this author a lot. Gave it a shot. It was okay. I was a little underwhelmed by this one. We follow a little baker girl who's a little bit of a witch. Not a lot of bit of a witch, but a little bit of a witch. And that she can only magic dough. And she and her group of friends are forced to take on a corrupt group of nobility and police. It's sweet. It's cute. There's gingerbread. There's a living like character that is a sourdough starter, which I really enjoyed. There were just lots of cute little things like that. It was not a road trip book, I will say. That was an error on my end. It did not keep me awake in the way I was hoping it would, but it was cute. I smiled a few times, I chuckled a few times, and I enjoyed that our main character, who was a child, I want to say 14, constantly was like, I shouldn't have to be dealing with this. Like, this is a problem for adults to be managing, and yet it's constantly being shifted onto my shoulders. And I liked that. I like some self-awareness. Yes, adults should be the ones making systemic change, 100%. The second book I listened to on the same road trip on the way back was It's Elementary. I don't actually know how I found this book. I think it might have just been on Libby, and I was like, yes! Speaking of Libby, public libraries are currently at risk of being federally defunded in the United States in approximately a month. So if you love Hoopla and you love Libby and you love your library services, be loud about your support and contact your representatives. The cast of characters in this book reminded me a little bit of Abbott Elementary, I think partially because it takes place in an elementary school, and also there's lots of discussion about how race factors into elementary education. The difference is, in It's Elementary, our main character's daughter goes to school in a predominantly white institution, but what unfolds is, of course, typical PTA drama until the principal goes missing. There is like a missing person, kidnapping, potential murder story in there. Mavis, who's our main character, starts falling in love with the school psychologist, which is Cutie Pie, and they start to investigate the missing principal together. At one point, they go to like a Dungeons and Dragons themed bar, which I would love personally. That would be a lot of fun for me. Yeah. If you know of any in LA, please say the word. I will be there. It was cute. It was fun. And I believe Mavis is going to have a series with this author, which is great. I'm assuming of additional mysteries of the elementary variety, maybe even middle school if we're feeling crazy to come. I read Unassimilable, an Asian diasporic manifesto for the 21st century. I'm sorry, I'm just reading from my bullet journal because I'm using my phone for audio today. This was great. I saw the author, her first name is Bianca. I saw Bianca's Instagram actually, and a reel came across my page about Jubilee and how its politics are specific to an assimilist culture within the Asian American community in Southern California. And it was such an interesting reel, and it was definitely a bit of a plug for her book. She mentions it. She's like, if you want to know more, read my book. And I did, and it was awesome. It was really, really freaking good. If you like the book Stay True, I would recommend this one. It's more of a sociological lens on a similar phenomenon mixed in with memoir and stories from her childhood, but very similar vibes. I love sociology. I love reading books by smart people. This is a smart person right here. It gave me a lot of hope as well. The end of the book discusses how heavy the world can feel, especially for people of color involved in liberation struggles. Palestine is touched upon. It just ended in a way where I felt I learned a lot, quite frankly, and additionally, I felt hopeful, which is a good feeling to walk away from a book with, especially now. Speaking of Stay True, I finished that audiobook. Great. I don't know if there's much I can add to the praise that this book already gets. Next, I read Hard Times Require Furious Dancing. This is a poetry collection. I think I just returned it, or else I'd show you the physical copy. But it is a poetry collection by Alice Walker. And the title caught me in the library. Yes, hard times do require furious dancing. Joy is a revolutionary expression. And I loved the book. I don't read a lot of poetry because I find myself kind of ripping through it. So what I tried to do with this one is I let myself rip through it, which is what I tend to do. And then I kept it for a few days and returned to poems that felt particularly potent. And there were plenty of them. If you're feeling down and out in general, but especially about activism or about politics, I would recommend this one. It's a very community-focused text, which I loved. I read The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. I believe it ties into her larger published works, and it provides a folkloric basis for some things that happen in her other books. I'm forgetting the name. It's something doctor, something mister, maybe something strange. I want to say there's a Norrell in there. I'll find it. I'll put it up for you. It just felt very cozy and wintry a little bit, which I am always in search of. Speaking of which, happy September. We made it. I really hate, I hate summer. My mom says it's a strong word. It is. Speaking of movement towards autumn, I then read The Undead Fox of Deadwood Forest in audiobook format, which I would highly recommend. The audiobook performance was really sweet, and it involved a little bit of sound design, a little bit of whispering winds through the trees, some children cackling on Halloween night, Hallows Eve night, if you will. That's what they call it in the book. This follows our undead fox, our main character, whose name is Claire, and he is an usher of dead souls. He helps them decide which afterlife of the 4 varieties is best for them. There's pain, there's pleasure, there's peace, and there's progress. But then this badger shows up. He does not like them, badgers. Her name is Ginger Snipes, which I think is delightful. And they go on a huge journey because Ginger Snipes, for some reason, is not going into any of the 4. She doesn't seem to stick in any particular afterlife. They go on an adventure to see what's going on. There's some talk about nature and humans, the relationship between the two, discussion of death, what it means to move on, self-love, self-hatred, community is really sweet. You'll understand when you read it, but I was driving on the 405, which is like a fucking giant highway, okay? And I was just like near tears at a specific part about a certain fungus. It was rough. The last book I read in August, I do actually have the hard copy of right now. I need to return it to the library. And it is A book that I'm quite hoping will be adapted at some point. I think it's quite suited to an adaptation structurally and in terms of the story. That is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I'm just going to read you the inside cover since we have access to it. A black father, a white father, two dead sons, a quest for revenge and redemption. Ike Randolph has been out of jail for 15 years with not so much as a speeding ticket in all that time, but a black man with cops at the door knows to be afraid. The last thing he expects to hear is that his son, I want to say it's pronounced it's not Isaiah. It has one less A than the name Isaiah, as I've typically seen it spelled. Isa has been murdered, along with Isa's white husband, Derek. Ike had never fully accepted his son, but is devastated by his loss. Derek's father, Buddy Lee, was almost as ashamed of Derek for being gay as Derek was ashamed of his father's criminal record. Buddy Lee still has contacts in the underworld, though, and he wants to know who killed his boy. Ike and Buddy Lee, two ex-cons with little in common other than a criminal past and a love for their dead sons, band together in their desperate desire for revenge. In their quest to do better for their sons in death than they did in life, these hardened men will confront their own prejudices about their sons and each other as they rain down vengeance upon those who hurt their boys. They do rain down vengeance. It was bloodier than I was expecting. It was good. My only critique is the same thing that drew me into the book. There's a really good simile, I want to say, on one of the first 2 pages in the intro to Ike's narration, Ike's viewpoint. It's such a good simile, and I was like, I like that simile. And then there kept being similes like that. And I would say about a third of the way through the book, I was like, okay, you are good at similes. Too many. Then they waned. So that's great. I also want to add that it's possible that that is not true of the final copy. I imagine that this is an arc, or started out as an early publishing, because there are a lot of spelling mistakes. So I am pretty sure this is an early edition. Perhaps the simile distribution is better in a final copy. That said, the writing was great. It kept me engaged. It's a thriller. There's a lot of talk about family and found family and community and the gay community in the South, specifically in Virginia, and racial dynamics. I really, really do hope it's adapted well. Emphasis on that. I'm very interested in Cosby's additional texts. He's also written Blacktop Wasteland. I don't know anything about it, but I think that one is even more popular. It was NPR's best book of the year, 1 year. So, gotta be good, right? Support public media. Those are all the books I read in the month of August. I'm really happy with the collection. I don't think I reread a single thing. 100% of these were library books. Thank you, LA Public Library. You see this card? I don't know if it's in focus, but the colors are great. In terms of other media, I rewatched a lot of stuff. I rewatched The Little Mermaid. I rewatched Sleepless in Seattle, Coraline, Star Wars, Beauty and the Beast, Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure. Did a long-distance movie night with my little sister. Anne of Green Gables. With Megan Fellow. As we move into September, let me show you what I'm reading now. That is Can't Spell Treason Without T. Great. Sprayed edges. I also have checked out Green Frog by Gina Chung, which was a mistake, actually. I saw the title, and I saw Chung, and I thought that it was Bora Chung of Cursed Bunny. Just the adjective, the animal, Chung. I was wrong, but this book is supposed to be really good, too, so I'm definitely going to read it. And then Fangs, I checked out. Don't know anything about it, but I assume there's vampires, and it's red, hardback. In the month of September, I'll hopefully get a paid job. I have a few unpaid jobs at the moment, both of which I'm very lucky to have and grateful for. But it would be real nice to make some money. So I'm hopeful for that. I'm hopeful for less isolating myself in my apartment. I've kind of come out of my shell late August, I would say. I went outside multiple times, like more than 3. And I saw friends, which is a treat. It's fall. It's my season. Almost. And I love this time of year. So I'm going to do my best to celebrate it and enjoy it for the first time by myself in my own space. That's all I have for today, everyone. I hope you're doing okay. Keep going. You got it, Tiger. It's rough out there. But if we stick together and keep each other safe, and dance furiously through hard times, I do believe we will be okay. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Ciao.